1-800-990-6976.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Wall Street rolled to more records, led by a rally for technology stocks. The S&P 500 rose 0.5%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 0.3%, and the Nasdaq climbed to 9%. All three set all-time highs. The NVIDIA was the strongest force, pushing the market upward after announcing a partnership with Intel to develop products for data centers and personal computers. Intel soared to its best day since 1987. Treasury yields climb following encouraging reports on the economy. Smaller stocks, which can benefit greatly from lower interest rates, rose sharply. The Dow was up 124 to close at 46,142. The Nasdaq gained 209 to 22,470. The S&P added 31 to 6631. The Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear skies this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 66. Tomorrow, it's more of what we've had, mostly sunshine-filled skies, but go with a high temperature all the way up to 90. For the weekend, more of the same. Mostly, again, sunshine-filled skies, highs in the upper 80s, and fall starts on Monday, but it'll still feel like summer much of the week. Highs in the upper 80s. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk here on a big Thursday night, coming to you from the capital city of Columbia. Phil Kornblut and the plumber, Josh Cohen, here at our studios at The Point Radio. Chris Bergen joining us from the Berge Palace over in beautiful Sardis. Hot day across the state of South Carolina. Today, touching 90 on my way in. But no rain, and gonna have a good weekend for football here and down in Columbia, Missouri, and down at South Alabama. Got all that covered for you here on Sports Talk. But right now we turn our attention to a more serious note. Kind of a story that takes your breath away when you first see it. Came out last night that Connor Shaw had suffered some sort of a health incident while he was coaching a youth football game in Simpsonville where his son was playing. Great reporting by a number of folks covering that, including Jordan Kay of the state newspaper, as folks try to get the information and try to be accurate and try to be sensitive because you're talking about a serious health situation here. And Jordan Kay of the state newspaper, right off the top of the show, kind enough to join us because he had an afternoon update from his sources and contacts and eyewitnesses who were there in Simpsonville as this was all going down. So, Jordan, great to have you with us here on Sports Talk. We really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your time. I know it's a tough story to follow. Is there anything late afternoon here to update from what you know on Connor Shaw?
Nothing more that he's still stable and still believe he's in the hospital. I think it's at Prisma. So. That's good news because, I was talking with someone who was there and just an incredibly scary scene. I think his son was playing in an 8U flag football game. It started around 6 p.m. and, about 15 minutes in, kind of everyone around is hearing that there's just someone laying, face down on the ground. And luckily there were a bunch of people around who jumped into action and kind of helped save his life. There was one firefighter who was coaching on a adjacent field and ran over and started CPR, and then some other guys joined in with him and they kind of kept the CPR going for, at least 20 minutes is what I heard before,
gosh.
The paramedics could get there. And it's kind of a weird logistical thing where the football field was. Like, the fire department's literally like a couple hundred feet away. So some people were calling 911 and other people just ran to the fire department. But I guess the way the fields are set up is it's like at the bottom of a hill. So they weren't able to get the ambulance down there. And so they had like a side-by-side little like ATV type thing that I guess they drove down there. The person who was there said that the paramedics kind of kept the CPR going until he was stable, and then they put him on a gurney, drove him up the hill and put him in an ambulance, and, was able to take him to the hospital where, I believe he's at now and still stable.
Wow. What a story. Great reporting on your end to get those details. And, I mean, that's a long, long time to perform CPR on somebody. A credit to all those people to keep it going like that. And amazing job by them, Jordan, to sustain him until real professionals got there to be able to take over.
Yeah. You never want to speculate, but yeah, it's not, you never want anyone to probably be, under CPR for that long. But no, it's a real credit to them because, if people weren't there able to do it, it could get worse quicker.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, real credit to them stepping in.
Okay, so hard story to cover because you got to be sensitive to, family, and it's a health thing and laws and all this sort of stuff. What'll be your next plan with this? Do you have plans for a further update later on this evening?
We're still trying to get in touch with people who were there and kind of know more about it, and then obviously trying to get in touch with those who, if there's an update on Connor's health, because I think there's so many people last night that were praying for him, and I know a lot of people this morning were very happy to wake up and hear that he was stable, and so hopefully we hear good news and are able to report that or hear from anyone who kind of knows how it's progressing.
I think Chris has got a question for you as well, so go ahead, Bertie.
I do. Yeah, Jordan, do you know, and this is probably the worst part of the story, obviously good news about Connor hopefully recovering, but do you know if his son even realized what was going on while he was playing?
I don't. I heard there was a lot of the parents, just kind of I think a lot of times, you go to a youth sporting event and kids take a knee. Well, I mean, this was a little more serious than taking a knee. And so I think there were a lot of the other coaches and parents tried to do a pretty good job of, getting the kids away and kind of making sure that they didn't have to, be watching that as that, the coach who was playing on the other field told me they stopped their game, told all their kids to go on the playground for as long as they needed. And then I think a lot of the kids who were playing in Connor's game, I think a lot of them, their parents kind of, took them away, or some even went home because they just canceled the game. So I don't know specifically about Connor's son, though, no.
Yeah. Wow. Scary situation. But thank goodness so far the news is positive in that he's at the hospital. He's stable. I think he's off the ventilator. Read that, and that's good news. So maybe some progress, and maybe, whatever it is, they've caught it, and they can fix whatever the issue is. So I think everybody's certainly hoping for that. Jordan, thank you. I'll see you out in Missouri. So you have a good trip, and we'll run into you out there. I'm sure we will.
Thanks, Jordan.
Appreciate you, Phil. Have a good one.
You too, Jordan. Thank you very much. And Jordan, by the way, the great guy that he is going to be back with you guys. I'm off on Monday night, so you know how we always like to have eyes and ears from a game on the show Monday night after a game. So Jordan's going to join you guys Monday night to be the eyes and ears. And also tonight, we bring on board here on Sports Talk, and he'll join us a little bit after 7 o'clock, a terrific young reporter in the upstate who works with our buddy David Hood and the folks at Tiger Nets, Grayson Mann. And Grayson is, of course, he's full-time with TigerNet and hanging on there, but he's going to kind of join us to help us cover Clemson because it's not always we're not always able to get one of our bodies up there to Clemson. And this is one of those weekends with me gone, and Smitty's got a late-night football game. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff at Clemson, so just not able to get one of our personnel there. So Grayson is going to join us tonight to introduce himself and also talk some Clemson football, and he'll be handling the Clemson coverage for us on Saturday, and he'll be back with you guys on Monday night. So just making sure we got everything covered. Yeah, be a fantastic show. So
Phil, I just can't. Before we move on, I just can't get over the Connor Shaw situation. Here's a young man that is a peak athlete, 33 years of age, and collapses while he's watching one of his sons, I don't know how many he has, playing youth football. I mean, just a remarkable story. And thank goodness there were people there that could handle the situation and keep him alive, it sounds like, until rescue workers could get over there. I mean, just a remarkable story of humans coming together. We talk so much about how divisive we can be. That's a situation where you had a lot of people who realized somebody was in desperate need of help and came to the rescue. I think it's amazing. And well done to the folks up in Simpsonville.
Can you do CPR?
I used to be able to, yes. I was taught. Now I've not had a refresher course in forever, but now that I think about this, I may need to take one.
The plumber, can you do CPR?
I am CPR certified.
Well, that's nice to know.
Yeah, if you happen to drop out.
I mean, would you actually try to use it on somebody? Would you actually?
Yeah, I would.
You would have you wouldn't be scared? You wouldn't turn and run the other way like some people?
Do me a favor, Josh. If Phil were to pass out on Sports Talk, turn the cameras off first and then go help him.
Turn off the cameras. Probably put us into. Would you want me to put us into a break or just let it go dead air to all 30 stations?
That did happen to me one time.
What?
Yeah, about 13 years ago, on our afternoon show. We did an afternoon show. I guess nobody knows this. So we were doing an afternoon show in Columbia 12, 13 years ago. I had been a little bit under the weather and had come back to do the show, and that was the day of a Steve Spurrier press conference. It was during football season, so it was either a Monday or a Tuesday, and I go to do the show that afternoon with Bill Gunner. Bill Gunner's still on the air in Columbia, and he's dealing with some health issues himself, but I think he's getting back to work. So we were the two guys doing the show, and the press conference of Spurrier was running. This was about 1:30 in the afternoon. And I wasn't feeling well at all. And I just put my head down on the table there for a few minutes, and I said to Bill, I'm going to go over to the break room, which was right next door. I'm going to go over there and kind of lay down for a few minutes. And I took about 3 or 4 steps, and bam.
Wow.
Out like a light. Yeah, just 3 or 4 steps.
That's scary.
Bam. And they didn't do anything. I think the blood pressure dropped or something. And you know how that can happen to you. Just all of a sudden, boom. And I took about a second or two, and they propped me up and then got me into the break room, and I just kind of sat in there and then drove home.
You didn't go into cardiac arrest, Phil. You just passed out.
Just passed out,
Let's get that. Those are two way different things.
Well, I wasn't trying to hint that I'd gone into – no. I wasn't trying to say that. I'm just saying that
when you need CPR, that means cardiac arrest.
But you don't know if somebody passes out around you. You don't know exactly what you're going to do. You know, mouth to mouth, CPR. Okay. You don't know. I tell you what, if it happens, just pull out a gun and like a horse. Treat me like a horse,
Josh, you said,
put me out of my misery.
Excuse me, Phil. Josh, when you got your CPR certification, when was it? Is it recent? And were you taught now, do they request you do just chest compressions now?
I did it online.
That's sort of the chains.
He did it online.
Well, that answers my question and poses several more.
That's right. All right. Get your medical degree online, too? You do that as well? Okay. Well, the good news is that's positive news on Connor Shaw. That's the main thing. So wish him well. Wish him speedy recovery. Meantime, we got all kind of stuff happening today. This thing up at Wofford.
Oh, my gosh.
Little old Wofford. Wofford. What's going on? We mentioned it last week about the coach being fired. And remember we said it had something to do, it didn't have all the details, it had something to do with some housing up there, housing of some players. And, as it turns out, it really seems like this is what they got hammered by today with I say hammered. The issue with the NCAA just seems very silly here. It just seems very silly. They had some basketball players who were recruited by the coach and the staff, Dwight Perry, Ty Anderson, and they had told these players they were going to live off campus. They were older players. They were transfers. They were older guys, and they were going to live off campus. And there was some issues, some confusion, some miscommunication there, and the NCAA is getting on Wofford, these players, 6 of them, deeming them ineligible because they used their meal card while living off campus.
It's insanity.
And according to the attorney, who happens to be Mark Pepper, who is a Wofford grad and the son of the great Warren Pepper. Do you know Warren Pepper?
Don't believe so.
You never heard of Warren Pepper?
That name sounds familiar. You asked me if I know him.
He's retired now, but he was the TV guy of Charleston for decades. Played a little basketball at Old Baptist College. Played basketball. Nicest guy in the world. Nicest guy in the world. I hope he's listening. Nicest guy in the world. And this is his son, who's the attorney, who is a Wofford grad. And so they had, the arrangement here. The arrangement for these players was not kept, and they were placed, instead of being in these suites that they were going to be in, that included in-suite bathrooms, which I guess was important to them. They were placed in underclassmen dorms, which probably has hall bathrooms.
Mm-hmm, I'm sure.
That makes a big difference. Remember your first time going into a hall shower? That was
yes.
That was an uneasy time, to say the least.
Got a great story about that.
That's okay.
I can tell it on air real quickly. My parents came to visit when I was at Carolina my freshman year. I was living in the Honeycombs, and of course they had a hall bathroom.
I lived in the Honeycombs too, but I I was a few years ahead of you.
Should have probably been condemned when you were there. Certainly should have been condemned when I was there.
They weren't supposed to be long-range living quarters. They were supposed to be temporary.
But my parents come up for a weekend like 2 weeks into the semester, and my dad has to go to the bathroom, and there's a young lady in there taking a shower.
Oh, my gosh.
Of course, it was a male dorm. Yes.
Holy cow. And what'd you do? Did you stare, or did you run the other way?
I said my father went in there. I think he turned around and came back out.
Oh, your dad. Okay.
Yes. No.
I bet you he stared.
Yeah.
I bet you he stared.
18-year-old, I probably would have hung out a little bit longer, but nonetheless. So, yes, no, I understand the hall bathroom versus the suite bathrooms.
So, anyway, Pepper says that the promise to the players about where they were going to live was not kept, and the assistant coach Anderson, working with the players, it says here, asked them if they wanted to keep their current dorm assignment or rent an apartment off campus and pay it for themselves, and they chose the latter. And it says here, Anderson properly informed administration of the plan to do so. And 5 days after classes began, the players were forced to break their lease to remain eligible, and they broke their lease on September 3rd. The players were informed September 17th the NCAA deemed them ineligible for using their meal plans while living off campus, which had never been discussed with them, Pepper says, making this impermissible benefits averaging from $84 to $108. This is just so silly and stupid and beyond. It's beyond. It's in today's world with everything going on. This is just beyond the pale. I mean, come on. This should not be happening. Perry wants his job back. The players wants his job. They want him back and the assistant coach back, or they're threatening to transfer, and they may leave Wofford. If that happens, they might leave Wofford without enough players to field a team.
How about that? Yeah, exactly, Phil. I mean, you're not going to be able to replace them in a month if 7 or 8 of them leave. I mean, it'll look like the early scenes in Hoosiers when Gene Hackman has his fifth player foul out of a game and he's only got 4 on the floor and he says, my team's on the floor. That may be the situation for Wofford. And Wofford needs to reinstate these guys, reinstate Coach Perry and his assistant Ty Anderson, and just say, come on, NCAA, do something about it.
Well,
I mean, this is ridiculous considering what the NCAA is allowing to happen. You're going to penalize a team for $84 of improper benefits.
Well, they're ridiculous. They're just absolute. But I also hear that, without having a lot of details or going into it, I also hear that there are things internally up there at Wofford that go deeper than all this. And this might just be the lighting of the fuse up there for some things. So you got to kind of keep an eye on what's happening up there in Spartanburg with the T-Dogs. Little old Wofford. Okay, back in just a moment.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosseller-Brown. Did you know Lawyer Lisa offers a prevention plan add-on to our services? If you already have a trust or just need some updates, ask about getting your ducks in a row and getting all of your wishes set out before it's needed. Visit lawyerlisa.com for more information.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
When South Carolina's best high school football players take the field at the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, they're backed by a powerful team of their own. As proud title sponsors, your local co-ops celebrate more than just a game. It's a tradition where talent shines, where teamwork matters, and where community spirit takes center stage. Don't miss the 78th Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, December 13th at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium in Myrtle Beach, powered by your electric cooperative.
All right, much more to talk about on this big Thursday edition of Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Learn more about the lottery's impact at sceducation.com/education wins. And, of course, playing for fun is a win for education. Our text line number is 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847, brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance in Columbia and Lexington, the new location in Lexington, Sunset Boulevard by the Mellow Mushroom. His phone number for all your insurance needs, 803-799-1998, 803-799-1998. Reach out to Larry for all your insurance needs. Then this story about Javon Gilmore. formerly of Gaffney, who had been committed to Arkansas since August of 2024. In the back of my mind, I thought he'd never make it to Arkansas. I mean, what's Arkansas doing, that far in advance, taking a commitment from a player in South Carolina who, I don't know. If South Carolina and Clemson aren't recruiting you and you're in this state and you're a quarterback, I don't know. I have to question all that. But anyway, as you know, he left Gaffney this week because he was no longer the clear starting quarterback. He was splitting time with another quarterback. So he leaves Gaffney. He now decommits from Arkansas, did that today, decommitted from Arkansas. You could probably assume that they pulled the offer. This is just an assumption. They told him, after that action, we're going to move in another direction. They've been recruiting other 26 quarterbacks. And now he may be headed to Ridgeview. Lou Bajak of the State reporting that at first there was information he had started classes at Ridgeview. Now it's like he's expecting to start classes at Ridgeview. When this happens, from what I understand, the high school rules, you have to wait 22 days as a transfer. You have to wait 22 days before you can get your eligibility to play. So that would roughly be 3 weeks of the season.
10th. Yeah.
Be 3 weeks of the season. But I don't know that he's there yet. Meantime, this is from Lou, former Fairfield Central quarterback Cam McMillan, who's also attended school at South Point, is now at Keenan. So he was at Fairfield Central, he was at South Point, now he's at Keenan. You're getting a little sense that the high schools are kind of becoming like the colleges now, you think, huh? Be back in a moment.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear skies this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 66. Tomorrow, it's more of what we've had. Mostly sunshine-filled skies, but go with a high temperature all the way up to 90. For the weekend, more of the same. Mostly, again, sunshine-filled skies, highs in the upper 80s. And fall starts on Monday, but it'll still feel like summer much of the week. Highs in the upper 80s. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Donald Trump is asking the Supreme Court for an emergency order to remove Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors. The Republican turned to the High Court Thursday after an appeals court refused to go along with his effort to oust Cook. Jimmy Kimmel's television future is hanging in the balance after ABC suspended his late-night show following the host's comments about Charlie Kirk's killing. The comments prompted dozens of stations to say they wouldn't air the show. In what was expected to be a contentious Federal Reserve meeting, policymakers on Wednesday instead emerged with a nearly unanimous voice to urge interest cut rates by a quarter point. On Wall Street, they're out by 124 points. More details at srnnews.com.
I don't know too many folks out there who love paying taxes, but what about getting tax credits? That's appealing, right? My buddy Ken at Broker Solar is in the tax credit business. How would you like a solar battery that helps do two things? First, it serves as an instant generator the moment the power cuts out, and it doesn't even require gasoline. Secondly, it lets you take some control back from the power companies. Yeah, you can use solar power during the peak hours when your power company wants to charge you the most. Oh, and that tax credit on solar batteries, you can get a 30% tax credit right now. This is a phenomenal time to reach out to Ken. He'll come out to your home or your business. He'll give you a comprehensive free estimate, answer any questions. Solar isn't free, but you need to take advantage of those credits when they do come around. Call Ken right now. Save on a solar-powered battery. Online, Find them at brokersolar.com or just call Ken, 807-7417. That's 807-7417, Broker Solar.
If you've never had genuine Wagyu or here for steaks and burgers, you don't know what you're missing. Time to order the best of the best from HandJCattle.com. These are local farmers in Saluda where tradition meets quality. The best quality beef and a discount for Point listeners. Enter keyword The Point as one word and get 10% off, plus free delivery in Lexington and Richland County orders of $50 or more. It's cooked in season over at HandJCattle.com.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing the Wing and a Prayer Wednesday special. Purchase an order of wings and a drink and get a free gift card for the arcade. We have some of the most mouth-watering jumbo wings like flamethrower hot wings, barbecue wings, teriyaki wings, honey mustard wings, terry hot wings. You can get a half dozen for $9.95 or a dozen for $18.95. Served with celery and choice of dressing. So come join us at Flight Deck Restaurant to enjoy some great jumbo wings and lots of fun in our new and improved arcade. And we at Flight Deck Restaurant thank y'all and God bless.
This fall, discover a place where friendly faces greet you at the door. McCoy's Hardware of Lexington, Greg Lynette, and their welcoming team make every visit a breeze with expert advice and genuine hometown care. No more endless aisles or big box blues, just quality products and people who want to know your name. For every project, big or small, find what you need and a neighborly smile at 2028 Augusta Highway. Shop local. Shop happy. McCoy's Hardware of Lexington.
It's painting season in the Midlands, and Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovation sets the tone for inspired living. Watch your home change from ordinary to outstanding with colors that liven every wall and craftsmanship you can trust. Michael and his team are fully licensed, bonded, and insured. They care for every detail inside and out of your home. Let's give your home the style and care it deserves. Call 922-5615 Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations, where every project reflects pride.
Sponsored by Midstate Roofing, South Carolina's leading roofer for over 30 years, protecting what matters most.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk Media Network. It's a big Thursday night edition across the state. So happy to have you with us. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. And our text line number is 803-900-4847. Calls and text messages and recruiting and a whole bunch more coming up a little bit later on in the program. Right now, though, on this Thursday night, it's time for another session of Morgan on the Move with Mike Morgan.
Sponsored by Midstate Roofing, South Carolina's leading roofer for over 30 years, protecting what matters most.
And Morgan on the Move brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Harbison, where Chris Mosley runs the best sporting goods shop in the Palmetto State. With all the things you'll want to buy, sell, or trade, best selection, best prices, with a great, friendly staff. That's Play It Again Sports in Columbia. All right, Mike is with us. He's on the move once again, bouncing here, bouncing there. Columbia last week, somewhere else this week. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm well. I noticed what you did there. You mixed the order of the sponsors of the segment. Very creative. Kind of, you zig, I zag, like you're very unpredictable.
Well, if I can be honest, I forgot to read it at first.
Now, see, I knew that, but I was trying to.
No, I can't.
It's like Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop. You screwed up the Super Cop story. It was working, and you had to tell Bogomil that you actually made a mistake. Now, that's a 1984 movie that probably lost. Although your audience definitely skews older, I bet a good portion of your audience got that.
I was right with you, Mike.
But nevertheless, you were with me. Thank you.
I was.
Thank you. I had somebody
right
in my corner.
I'm just glad you cleaned up the tail end of that
I did clean it up. Yes.
All I got to say is, all I've got to say is, go ahead, blow it up. I don't shop here anyway.
I don't shop here anyway. Yes, Cobra, another 1980s classic. You're the disease, Phil.
But
and
I'm the cure. So
what's happening,
let's
boys?
talk about South Carolina Vandy, because you were on the scene last weekend. And South Carolina, give Vandy credit. They do what I call this a generational Vandy team. I mean, they're having a great year, and they're going to win a lot of ball games if they stay healthy. They might not be able to match this moving forward, but they're going to milk this season for all they can.
Well, and they're coming off another good season, and the formula is the same. It's Pavia. It's a well-designed offense by Tim Beck and Jerry Kill. It probably resembles more of what you would see covering high school football on a on a Friday night in South Carolina than it does most SEC offenses, but it works for them. Defensively, I thought their game plan was brilliant. I mean, the biggest play of the game was clearly Carolina marches right down the field, touchdown, first drive. And you're thinking, okay, this offense has gotten its wake-up call. Second drive, again, marching down the field, and then from the 15-yard line on a key play where the call was the right one. You had the back kind of circle over the middle, and maybe he was the primary, I don't know, but you had Jordan Dingle wide open on a skinny post in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe on the telecast, Jordan Rogers actually went back and showed that, because Vanderbilt blitzed two safeties and obviously a defensive tackle. Believe it or not, that defensive tackle, that was his third career pick. But he goes back in coverage. The two safeties rush, and Lenoris just did not see the tight end open in the end zone. And then even if you are going to throw to the back in that situation, the throw has to be better, obviously. So, I mean, it's one bad throw. It's the only throw that he missed before he was concussed, but it obviously was the biggest play of the game. Now, give Vanderbilt credit. Defensively, they stymied Carolina for 4 quarters, and offensively, they did Vanderbilt things. Diego Pavia just makes plays. He's never going to lead the league in passing. He's not going to be an NFL quarterback. Doesn't matter. He's a 7-year guy that knows how to win and does the right things, and they just outplayed. Look, I thought it'd be a fourth quarter game, which a lot of my Gamecock friends were, you're crazy. We're going to beat the crap out of Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out we were both wrong. They were wrong, and it wasn't a fourth quarter game. And obviously, this is no knock on Luke Doty, but if this team is going to win games in the SEC, it's got to be Lenoris Sellers at the helm. It just does. And I don't know if you've got inside information, Phil, but based on the guests that we've had on the Inside the Gamecock show, it sounds like he's playing. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, our information yesterday was that he practiced yesterday, which they practice in the morning. So he practiced yesterday, and my information was he'll be good to go for the game on Saturday. The availability report last night sort of backed that up. So I would think he'll be ready to go. Now, I mean, he takes another knock on the helmet. Who knows what would happen? I would imagine that, if he's back practicing on Wednesday, which he was, it wasn't one of these long, drawn-out concussion protocol things that can take a week or 2 weeks sometimes to recover from. So I'm not going to say it wasn't severe. That's up to the individual to determine, how bad their head hurts or what they can't see in sunlight and the lights and all that kind of stuff when you have a concussion. But it sounds to me like that whatever it was, he got over it. He practiced Wednesday. Obviously, he was at practice today, and will be ready to go for them on Saturday. So, and this is and think about this Missouri team. I mean, their numbers are off the charts, but another number off the chart is 92nd strength of schedule through 3 games. So they've played, the butterflies of football out there, Kansas. But are they as good as those numbers indicate, or are those numbers inflated because of the schedule?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, Missouri does not go out of its way to challenge itself severely in the non-con. Kansas that's legit. I'll give it that. That's a rivalry game. But it just looks like another Missouri team under Eli Drinkwitz, a quarterback that a transfer in Bo Pribula, who maybe nobody had as being one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC this year, but is playing very well. A running back that didn't have a lot of stars next to his name out of high school. You know, the last guy, Schrader, was a D2 walk-on. This kid's a transfer from Louisiana Monroe that ran for over 1,000 yards as a freshman. Wide receiver, you know, they don't have the Luther Burden kid anymore, so it's a lesser-known group of receivers, but some key transfers there too. And then defensively, they never have the marquee names, right? But they always seem to play well enough to win games. So it's a challenging game. I like to think it's a winnable game. I mean, this is where I might differ from a lot of people as well. I know that point spread's a little gaudy, even with Lenoris expected to play. This is the kind of game that you need to win, quite frankly. I mean, when you look at the rest of the schedule, this is one of those games that you need to be successful and at least play a good game. I think I keep going back to this. I'm borderline fixated on it, but 5 games now, the offensive output, not special teams, not defensive scores, the offensive output is 17, 17, 17, 17, 7. That's over a 5-game span. That's almost incomprehensible. I mean, there's just too much talent on that offense for that to be the case. And I don't get into the finger pointing game. Some people want to, but first it was the offensive line coach, then now it's the offensive coordinator, and all of that might be part of the sum of the parts. But the guys out there playing, some of that's on them too. I haven't seen a perfectly played offensive game yet by the 11 on the field in Garnet. So they all need to step it up.
Yeah.
And I think they're all due for a better game. I just have a feeling this will be a better offensive output, and they'll finally put an end to that nasty kind of lackluster streak.
Just a comment here, then Bergie's going to jump in with a question just to follow up. Because I got 17 transfers. I was talking to a contact of mine today who has connections to the Missouri program, and they really love their defense. They think their defense is at a very high level. But one thing about Missouri is they organized quickly when all this came down a few years ago with the transfer portal. They got involved with the management side of things, the player personnel side of things on their end to ensure that they got into the transfer portal frequently, and Drinkwitz, I think, has made that a major part of what he does there. And you mentioned the running back, you mentioned the quarterback, and they've got Trotter, the linebacker from West Virginia, who's a big time player from West Virginia. They got him. Throughout their lineups, it's dotted. Their lineups are dotted with good players who were good players at their previous stops and have come to Missouri for whatever reason, the money or playing for Drinkwitz or the DC, whatever the case may be. They've done an excellent job of refurbishing their personnel, their roster, by going into the transfer portal. John Bergie, go ahead.
Mike Morgan with us here tonight. Morgan on the move. And Mike, when you talk to some of the guys who you work with, either at the SEC network, say a Jordan Rogers who was on the TV call, or Chuck Oliver who was with you on the radio call, all we've heard, as you pointed out a few minutes ago, it's Mike Shula's fault. That's why the offense, he's a terrible play caller. He's got to go, at least from the fan base. When those guys look at a game, do they see the same thing, or is it a situation like you pointed out, maybe the players aren't executing as well as they need to?
Good question. I mean, I went back and watched the telecast because obviously I didn't see it live, and I can always tell because I've been in a number of these coaches meetings what was kind of said, and clearly what was said in that meeting, because Jordan brought it up after the interception, was that two things: Carolina has to do better on red zone offense. Talked about how bad it's been, and then talked about how Lenoris Sellers, if he's going to make that next step, he's going to see the field better. That didn't just come out of a vacuum. That clearly that was talked about in meetings, and it was talked about in the broadcast. And they went back and did a little telestrator on that and showed how open Dingle was on the play. and so like that's the kind of stuff that I don't know what they've been saying about Coach Shula on the offensive end, but clearly they brought that up. That's something that was leading up to that. I mean, if you just go on the national media, whether it's the people at the SEC network, whether it's the people that I work with on national radio, whether it's the pundits that are coming up with every week, if you go on social media, you'll see a SEC quarterback ranking. What's interesting to me is, and this is where it goes beyond just Carolina, like most people have, because the hype was unbelievable at the beginning of the year for Lenore Sellers, DJ Lagway, Garrett Nussmeier. I might be missing one guy there. A lot of people were very high on John Mateer, who you can make the
Klubnik.
Well, I was just talking SEC.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, Klubnik, without question. I mean, Kay Klubnik and Lenora Sellers. I think you and I talked about this back in the summer. When's the last time two quarterbacks from the state of South Carolina were both on everybody's Heisman list?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's ever happened, but it was real. Well, now Kay Klubnik certainly is not playing Heisman football, and neither is Lenora. I mean, neither one of those guys, unless you have a miraculous 9-game stretch, are going to be winning the Heisman Trophy, because so much of the Heisman Trophy is based on two things: stats and winning a ton of football games. And right now, Clemson's lost 2, and Carolina's lost 1, and neither quarterback has put up outstanding numbers. So, but what I was saying on the SEC list, because if you look at it, none of those guys that were heavily hyped are now at the top of the list. Everybody is super high on Mateer. Some were high at the beginning. I will give credit to people like Chris Doering, who said he was going to win the Heisman, but other people are like, oh, he went to Washington State. What is he really? Is he that good? Nobody was high on Joey Aguilar. I mean, they talked about Joey Aguilar like he was trash. Go look at the stats. He's actually played some of the best football of any quarterback in the league. Marcel Reed of Texas A&M. There wasn't a ton of hype on him, and there wasn't really a ton of hype on Taylon Green. All the hype was Lenoris, DJ Lagway, Garrett Nussmeier, a couple other guys that were getting all. And if you look at it statistically now, I call it the bizarro world. The guys that were supposed to be at the top or at the bottom, the guys are at the bottom, supposed to be at the bottom or at the top. Now, look, we got 9 more games to play. A lot of those things can change. And I forgot to mention Arch Manning, of course, the ultimate hype machine, who has been very disappointing. I don't think there's any way of sugarcoating that. So, how I always talk about college football is just the greatest, but it is wildly predictable. I can honestly say through 3 weeks, this has been one of the most unpredictable starts to the season, particularly in the SEC. Because I think there's a lot of good stories out there that don't involve the big two, which have dominated the conference for the last, 20 years, in Georgia and Alabama. Yes, Georgia's still good. Alabama's disappointing, but maybe they are good. By the way, their quarterback's playing exceptionally well. He's not the reason they lost to Florida State. Ty Simpson's been brilliant, and nobody thought much of him. A lot of people thought he wasn't even going to get the starting job at the beginning of the year. So, we got Oklahoma and Auburn this weekend, 2 3-0 teams. Did anybody have that on their bingo card? Probably not. We got, even though Tennessee lost that game to Georgia, they played extremely well. Georgia fans complain about Mike Bobo and the offense being boring and Gunnar Stockton, not this, not that. Well, they're doing Georgia things as usual. They'll have a big one against Alabama in a couple of weeks. There's a lot of just weirdness going on in the SEC that most of us would not have seen coming. So make of that what you will. How that relates back to South Carolina, like I said, nobody thought Carolina was going to lose at home to Vanderbilt. And I think people thought, with all the Heisman hype on Lenore Sellers, that he'd certainly have some better-looking numbers and signature plays up to this point. Clearly that hasn't been the case so far, with 9 more games to play.
Okay, quick word on Georgia Tech Clemson from Saturday, then we'll let you go. Our time is short, so limit you here to about a minute. So in Atlanta, after this Georgia Tech win, they beat Clemson. Phenomenal finish, but they that game kind of went back and forth. Tech had the early lead. Clemson called up. Clemson went ahead. Tech went ahead. Back and forth. Field goal wins it. I mean, what was the feeling this week around Atlanta about Tech's future? And are they believing, or folks there believing, maybe not just your Tech people, but others, that this Tech team can overcome Georgia this year?
Maybe. Well, that remains to be seen. That game will be played in the Dome, so it'll feel like a Georgia home game.
Yeah, really,
as it usually does anyway. But Georgia Tech going to get a nice check by playing on a neutral field for that game. I think a couple things. Number one, I know time's short, so I'll try to keep it just as short.
Yep.
Number one is that Georgia Tech has a really, really easy schedule the rest of the way. They don't play Miami or Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
So if they just keep doing what they're doing, they should be in Charlotte. And Coach Key's done a remarkable job with that program. Number two, I think the difference between Carolina and Clemson, you guys can bat this around. I watch Carolina, I feel like the same way a lot of fans do. You've got to run Lenore Sellers more, because that's clearly his best gift. He's one of the most electric running quarterbacks we've seen in the last 10 years, not just at Carolina, but anywhere. When I watch Clemson, Phil, guys, I don't know what to second get. Like, what would you want to see? Cage, they're just not playing well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if are people questioning the play calling of Coach Riley? Is it that simple? Because I don't know what you would do differently. I just know that they need to be better.
Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes. They are questioning it. They're questioning the quarterback play. They're questioning the offensive line
what would you change?
Play.
Here's my question. Like, what I know what Gamecock fans want is they want to see more Lenoris runs. What do Clemson fans want to see?
Well, I don't know what they want. I don't know about the fans, but I can tell you from my perspective what I expected of the Clemson offense, and from watching the Clemson offense that was great in the national championship years, taking some shots down the field, stretching the field. They don't take shots down the field.
Yeah.
Everything is sideline to sideline, maybe across the middle. Klubnik, maybe he's reading things wrong. He takes off and runs, but stretching the field. Clemson had receivers in the past that they would dare you to come up and play them in man or even in zone. They would beat you in the zone, but they would take their shots. Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, they would take their shots down the field. They don't do that any longer, and I think that's part of the reason that they are where they are with their offense. We got to run to a break. You know how that goes. Got to pay the bills. You're going out to Oregon, right?
Going to Oregon. You can catch the game 3 o'clock Eastern, Elite Media Network on iHeart, TuneIn, and pretty soon to be on about another 100 stations across the country. And first time I've ever been to Oregon. First time I've ever seen the Civil War, and looking forward to calling it.
That should be wonderful.
Excellent. Have fun.
Have a safe trip. Talk to you next
guys.
week.
Okay, appreciate it.
That is the one, the only Mike Morgan, but he appears on hundreds of shows. He's everywhere you want your ears to be. Be back in a moment.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
Straight Up Sports is simply all sports all the time. Straight Up Sports is a collection of retired and award-winning sports writers and sports broadcasters from around South Carolina. Like Bob Gillespie from the State Newspaper, Scott Kiefer from the Greenville News, and Mark Sturgis from ESPN Upstate. Straight Up Sports is about the stories, just like the days gone by with no editors nor managers involved. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter or online at straightupsports.net.
All right, thanks to Mike Morgan. Morgan on the move. About this Missouri team, tell you what, I mean, they went out and got some ballers. The running back from Louisiana he mentioned, we didn't talk about Kevin Coleman, who was a 1,000-yard receiver at Mississippi State last year. He's over there, his fourth school, but what does that matter? His fourth school. He's finally found his happy spot. But looking at some of the numbers, some of the statistical rankings of Missouri compared to South Carolina, I mean, you look at this game on paper, it's not even going to be close. If these two teams, play up to what their stats are, I mean, Missouri is like in the top 5 nationally in several offensive and defensive categories, and South Carolina's not even sniffing the top 25 in a lot of those categories. So
116th, Phil, to be exact, in total offense.
Yeah. And so the Gamecocks going to have, here we go, total offense, Missouri's 4th. The Gamecocks are 118. Defense is 5 and 49. The Gamecock defense hasn't been all that bad. They're only giving up 17 points a game. Here's another one. Third down conversion on offense, 7th versus 121. Mm-hmm. Third down conversion defense, 5th versus 101. So first down offense, 7 versus 88. Time of possession, Missouri 2nd in the country. The Gamecocks are 127. Got to have the football if you're going to score. Be back after the break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is asking the Supreme Court for an emergency order to remove Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The request comes after an appeals court rejected the president's effort to oust Cook from the Fed's 7-member governing board. He accuses Cook of mortgage fraud. She denies lying and refuses to leave her post. The Fed board was established by Congress to be largely independent from day-to-day politics. No president has fired a sitting Fed governor in the agency's 112-year history. Greg Clugston, Washington.
On a party line vote of 51 to 47, the Senate has confirmed 48 Trump nominees in one fell swoop, ending a backlog caused by Democrats. Bob Agnew reports.
Under new rules in the Senate, Republicans were able to combine all the nominations into one and confirm them with a simple majority vote. The new chamber rule allowing for the confirmation of certain executive branch nominees in large groups rather than one by one was enacted earlier this month on a strict party line vote. Republicans say they took the unusual step to offset delays they blame on the Democrats. Bob Agnew reporting.
Turning Point USA, the organization Charlie Kirk founded to mobilize young conservatives, has seen a massive surge in interest and support since the activist's assassination last week. As conservatives mourn Kirk's death, the group announced that Kirk's wife Erica will serve as its next CEO. More than just a leader, Charlie Kirk was Turning Point's public face and crucial to its influence. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 124 points, the Nasdaq rose 209, the S&P advanced 31. More at townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
Topical humor is common for late-night TV, but caricaturing Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter as a conservative has backfired on an ABC host. Correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
Jimmy Kimmel's monologue Monday night has earned him a suspension from ABC.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
The network's decision came after Nexstar announced its 23 ABC affiliates would preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely over his comments. Nexstar's Andrew Alford called Kimmel's comments offensive and insensitive. I'm Ben Thomas.
FCC Chair Brendan Carr says Kimmel was suspended because groups of stations refused to air his program. News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear skies this evening with the low temperature dipping down to 66. Tomorrow, it's more of what we've had, mostly sunshine-filled skies, but go with a high temperature all the way up to 90. For the weekend, more of the same. Mostly, again, sunshine-filled skies, highs in the upper 80s, and fall starts on Monday, but it'll still feel like summer much of the week. Highs in the upper 80s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back. Sports Talk Media Network, hour number 2 on this big Thursday night. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and the plumber, Josh Cohen, taking the phone calls, turning the dials, and all that kind of good stuff. SEC will announce a 9-game, 26 schedule for each team and the 3 rivalry opponents on Tuesday. Of course, the SEC adding a 9th conference game in 2026. And our buddy Scott Hamilton posting Courier with a story this afternoon that's going to have a college football game, the first one at Wembley Stadium in London.
Great.
Arizona State and Kansas. It's going to be called the Union Jack Classic.
It's going to be called We Don't Want College Football Overseas. That's why we're sending Arizona State and Kansas.
Arizona State, Kansas in the Union Jack Classic at Wembley Stadium. All right, well, have fun with that.
So bad.
Yeah, that's you know. I feel bad for the fans when they take away home games from them like that.
I do too.
I mean, let's face it, you only get so many of these things, and they start shipping them overseas. So that's not a good thing. Okay.
Thank goodness we cover the SEC where they will never go for that kind of nonsense.
Let's hope not. Let's hope Clemson never does that. Of course, Clemson did play a game in Japan, you know. Clemson played Duke in Japan. Yeah. That was very convenient for Clemson because that game, if my memory is right, that game was in 1984? No, what year was that? 82? What year was that? That was the
91.
Oh, was it 91?
Yep, it was the Coca-Cola Bowl.
Well, it coincided with the NCAA coming down again on Clemson with penalties, and I remember we had the press conference for the infractions committee and their penalties, but nobody from the team was around because they were all on the plane to Japan when that AD was gone, coach was gone. I think that's right. I think the AD was gone, coach. Everybody was gone. They were all on their way to Japan. So anyway, I mentioned at the top of the show we would be introducing a new member of our team here on Sports Talk. Of course, his major team is with TigerNet. We're sort of the JV for him, but he'll be first team for us, helping us cover Clemson. Great to have Grayson Mann joining us here on Sports Talk. Grayson, good evening. How you doing, buddy?
Well, there's no JV team with you, Phil, but it's great to be on here, man. How are you?
We're doing great. Well, you know, one thing I liked about you, about the only thing I liked about you when I met you, is that you're a Celtics fan, you know? Now, I can overcome your shortcomings of being a Red Sox fan and all that, but, you know, that's in your background, right? You're a Bostonian. Are you a New Englander?
Yeah, my dad grew up in Hanover, Massachusetts, and he had season tickets to the Patriots and the Red Sox growing up. So right when I got into sports, that was the lecture that I got, and there was no other way about it. So been repping the Boston teams from down south. And so growing up, got a lot of questions about my true loyalties due to the Patriots' success growing up in the 2000s, but stood firm and got a Cam Newton and Mac Jones jersey in my closet to prove my loyalty when anybody asks.
And see, Phil, Grayson's fandom makes sense.
Uh-huh.
He grew up there. Your fandom is just bandwagon across the board.
I don't know what you mean.
Yankees fan, Green Bay Packers fan.
So?
Let's see, Boston Celtics fan.
So?
You grew up in Latta. There's
So?
no connection.
Well, the NFL
Grayson at least grew up there.
The NFL would not put a team in Latta. So, I mean, what do you want me to do? Anyway, Grayson, welcome. This is kind of the nonsense we put up with here on the show from time to time. So glad you're with us. You're going to be covering Clemson for us Saturday against Syracuse, back on the show Monday night to talk all about it, so we appreciate you very much. You've been around the Clemson team all preseason, summertime, writing stories, covering them throughout the first 3 games of the season. You think you're finally going to see the Clemson team people have been expecting to see on Saturday?
Oh, man, it's a loaded question with what kind of Clemson team should we expect to see on Saturday? You know, I think this is my 4th season covering the team, and I don't think there's ever been a more jarring start than this year, where I think in 23 when there was a lot of excitement with Garrett Riley, but I don't think the roster was overall that talented, and we still didn't really know the commodity that Cade Klubnik was going to be. And so this year you have on paper sort of the counter to the NIL transfer portal formula, where you spend heavy on a talented roster and get that retention to keep them on campus, and you add a guy like Will Helt out of Purdue, you add a depth piece like Tristan Smith, and then on top of that nice cake, you have Tom Allen as the dressing to make it an even more delicious recipe. And so overall, I felt like the perception, and even you outside of the Clemson walls locally, there was a lot of hype for them nationally. And so the start is interesting, Phil, the way you kind of frame it. Is this we're going to be an opportunity to see this Clemson team? If it's not going to be this Saturday, I don't think we're ever going to see that vision ever materialize. This is not a really great Syracuse football team. I know they competed well with Tennessee, but overtime win over UConn, where Fran Brown's having the team run sprints afterwards, which is just great. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then a battle with Colgate that the team put up 24 points. So I think the natural thought is Clemson should be able to put up at least 24 if Colgate can do it. But this offense, man, you and I were sitting next together at Georgia Tech. Just a hot and cold offense. Cade Klubnik, still a lot of the same issues that have plagued him throughout these first 3 games. I put on Twitter earlier today, if there was a time for this Clemson offense to come alive, it's going to have to be Saturday, or this is just who Clemson is.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned 24 because I went back and looked, and I think it was in 7 of their last 8 games against P4 opponents, 24 has been their max. It's sort of like their wall, and they expect a heck of a lot more when you bring in a coordinator so highly praised and highly paid, they expected this offense to be in the 40-point category and above and rolling up 520 yards a game or more like some of the high-powered offenses that you have around the country. Just hasn't been the case for the Tigers under his direction.
No, it's been sort of a disappointing mix where you bring in a guy like Garrett Riley, 2022 TCU. I don't know if your audience has gone back and done this, but I certainly encourage it. Where if you want to take a look at that 2022 TCU offense, and I know Sweeney had said in his introductory press conference that Garrett's coming here to run the Clemson offense, but you go look at some of those concepts with TCU, it's a totally different football team. There's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of utilization of the talent on the field. Personally, for me, for this offense, I really liked the tight ends entering this year. I felt like Christian Bentancur is a phenomenal athlete, one of the best Clemson has signed at that position. I loved his high school tape, and he's showed some flashes, particularly against LSU, had a couple catches, particularly one on the game-winning drive or the attempt to have the game-winning drive.
Mm-hmm.
So there just feels like there's being a lot left on the table with this Tiger offense. There are moments where you think that, okay, they're putting it together. They've had drives where I felt like their response in the fourth quarter down 21-14 was a big boy drive from Clemson and Cade Klubnik, who made a lot of big throws on that particular stretch, responding on the road to a really good Georgia Tech team. But you just never got the ball back, with Haynes King really dominating the time of possession there in those final ticks, which is what good teams do. And Clemson just hasn't been the team to make the final play, make the last laugh, what they used to do all the time back in their heyday. So that's just kind of been the difference, as Sweeney's alluded to. And I know that answer frustrates fans, but in reality, they really are. But they're also a few plays away from 0-3 if a few batted balls go against them when playing Troy.
Yeah. The other thing that's missing, and I was talking about this earlier with Mike Morgan, who was with us, and that is I don't see the big play strike in this Clemson offense. I mean, they made a living from the big play strike when they were at their greatest, and I'm just not seeing it. I mean, am I not seeing something that's there, or are you not seeing the same thing I'm not seeing?
Oh, I'm in total agreement with you, Phil. I think the way Clemson's offense is operating in the first three games is you've seen safety sort of come down into the box and understand that Clemson really doesn't have that downfield threat. And it's really fascinating where you go back to last year, and Clemson felt like they were able to spread it out across the field. There was no limit to what Cade Klubnik and this receiving corps could do. We all remember the first play, or the third play, that Clemson's offense ran against App State, where Wesco is tasked down the field with a little bang 8 route and takes the top off the defense, and boom, everything's open at that point. We've seen it maybe once or twice this year. I love the NFL Sunday passing charts where they show you the completions and where they were put on the field. I'm sure if we opened up Clemson's, that sucker's short. They're not airing this out down the field very often, if not at all.
Well, Klubnik's completing 59%. That's not good enough. He does have the long of 73, but that was more on Wesco's catch and run and getting a great block. That wasn't a shot down the field. I mean, Klubnik's just got to play better. He's thrown 3 interceptions to 3 touchdowns, and he's completing 59%. That's not Heisman numbers by any means. Before we let you go, what's the latest you're hearing regarding the availability of guys like Antonio Williams, Tristan Lee, Khalil Barnes, some of these guys who've been out? Are you hearing any information, any scuttle about who's going to be available?
I think that whether we asked Dabo or not, he was never really going to be keen on giving us an answer, Phil, as you know. But I've heard some positive chatter about Antonio Williams playing on Saturday. But I guess we'll have that ultimate confirmation here in about 40 minutes when the ACC, or 45 minutes, excuse me, when the ACC releases its availability report against Syracuse, so which I love. I'm sure you guys do as well. It makes your job a lot easier to kind of have an indication of where things are headed instead of waiting for the almighty Ross Taylor email bomb our way 90 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah.
So it does make our lives a little bit easier to get that information. So I think it's trending in the right direction, Phil. But ultimately, it's been very clear, too, with this offense. Klubnik needs Antonio Williams back. And we did a piece on TigerNet about just sort of the numbers, courtesy of Facts and Childress of The Roar, a good friend of mine helping me set that up. But, man, the offensive numbers are jarring without 0 on the field.
Yeah, no question. They miss him. Put out your contact information as far as your social media connections, how people can find you, where you want to be found on X and on Instagram, whatever you want to put out. And of course, they can always read your stuff. You do a great job covering Clemson recruiting for TigerNet, but what are the other places people can find you?
Hey, you can find me primarily on Twitter at Gray_man21. That's where most of my game day insights come from. And if you just want to hear the occasional Boston ramblings, Sunday they play the Steelers, so I'm sure if you're around, you'll see a Drake May-related propaganda post. But overall, you can find my work on TigerNet.com. I'm excited to be helping you guys out this season. The more I can be, the more spots I am able to work at, the better. And Phil, it's been a pleasure getting to know you the last several years.
Same here. Of course, David Hood is our go-between there. We love David. He does fantastic stuff. He jumps on with us from time to time, but I know his hands are really busy with what he's got going on. And I guess you and Will Vandervoort will be sitting side by side on Sunday watching the Steelers and the Patriots. That should be a lot of fun watching you two.
We've been sending some trash talk back and forth on text, but I think it's been relatively civil because both of us think our teams are going to lose. So that's always a recipe for confidence.
You got that right. Okay, my friend, thank you. We will talk to you later in the week just to catch up with you and enjoy the football game. Look forward to seeing your coverage, and you'll be with the guys a little bit on Monday night. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Grayson.
I appreciate you guys. Go Pats.
Okay, Grayson, thank you very much. No cheering on the program.
How about that?
Of course, I cheer for my teams.
You think?
You think?
By the way, I want to go back. You were right on. You were surprised about the Clemson game in Japan. They actually played, and hat tip to Matt Hogue, who sent me a text to remind me, they played Wake Forest in Japan back in 1982.
That's the one I was talking about. Plummer gave me bad information.
It said they played Duke in 90, whatever.
No, you gave us bad. I knew it was in the 80s.
That's AI.
Bad information again from the Plummer.
The Mirage Bowl.
That's it. That was the one. That's what I was talking about.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
You work hard for your money. Shouldn't your money work hard for you too? Think about all the hours you've put in, the late nights, the early mornings, the dedication to your craft. Now imagine those dollars doing some of the heavy lifting for a change, growing quietly in the background while you focus on what matters most. Whether you're saving for a dream vacation, a new home, or just building a cushion for peace of mind, putting your money to work is one of the smartest moves you can make. Open a certificate at Founders Federal Credit Union and earn more with your savings. For a limited time only, Founders is offering 18-month certificates at 4.32% annual percentage yield and 18-month IRA certificates at 4.58% annual percentage yield. To get started, visit foundersfcu.com/dividend rates or one of our many convenient office locations. All you need is $500 to get started, but don't delay. These rates won't last. Open your certificate today. Your future self will thank you for opening a certificate at Founders. Federally insured by the NCUA. Membership qualification required. $500 minimum balance. 18-month term. Dividends compound quarterly. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
G3 here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and it's time for a fall preview. That's right, 720 Chris Drive, 378 and I-26, Frontage Road, where you can now preview the best technology for golf known to man. It's the Tsunami Bar. It's live weight. It's the only technology out where you get your tempo and flow going before you play. Now, it also serves as a pattern support tool. 720 Chris Drive, Frontage Road, 378 and I-26. You also can visit the Garage Gym Pro Shop. Pick up your tools, take them home, and while you're here, tour the Scramble Course 6-hole pitch and putt right now.
Every time they were sure that you called.
All right, so I was right. It was 1982, and that was right after the NCAA investigation and probation, the big one in 82. That's the one I was referring to. I knew there was something in 82, Plummer. You give me the wrong information. I knew I was right.
I was also giving you the right information.
I had no doubt.
They also played in 91 in Japan.
Wrong.
No,
right,
I was not wrong. I was not wrong.
Wrong.
Bergie, I was not wrong. Was I wrong or right?
By the way,
correct. Okay. I can't believe Clemson played 2 games in Japan.
I forgot about the one in 90s.
Either one of them.
I know.
Slackers.
Well, Sports Talk wasn't on the air till 84, so we couldn't. 82 didn't matter. But the 90, right. Now that you mentioned the 91, we didn't go, and that was one of the few games that we didn't cover with Clemson because we weren't going to Japan. I want to mention this too before we get to Tom Allen. That is just to follow up on the thought about Clemson and no big plays in their offense. Do you realize I'm forgetting the Wesco 73-yard catch because it wasn't a deep shot. The longest reception, outside of that, the longest reception by a Clemson receiver, not a tight end, longest reception by a receiver in terms of yardage this year, 26 yards by T.J. Moore. That's it. Longest reception by one of their receivers, one of their wideouts, is 26 yards. They got to find the explosion in their offense once again. They've lost the explosion. You've lost that explosive feeling.
We had a tweet filled in mind prior to the start of the season that had gone through Cade Klubnik and looked at his completions, and throughout his career, he has not really thrown the ball deep down the field. Most of his completions, the reason for the most part his completion percentage is fairly high, are within 10, 15 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. Now, whether or not that's just not what Garrett Riley wants to see out of the offense, whether or not Cade is comfortable throwing the deep ball, we probably will never know. But, yeah, I don't think this is unusual for them, and it may be who they are. The way they're going to hit the deep strike is the Wesco play, hit him on a slant and hope he can take it to the house.
By comparison, long catches for the Syracuse team, they have a 43-yard, they have a 53-yard, they have a 35-yard, they have Tyshawn Russell, the former Gamecocks, has a 28-yard catch, so they take some shots down the field. Clemson's average pass attempt is 7 yards. So
there you go. Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Tom Allen. Some comments from the Clemson defensive coordinator. I mean, the defense has looked okay, not dominant. They didn't give up a bunch of yards to Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech did have 3 drives of some. They did have some drives of some distance against that Clemson defense. They couldn't get off the field when it was necessary for them to do so. Here he is, talking about some of those ills and what he's trying to do to make the defense better.
Yeah, I think obviously what's fresh in your mind is what you just played, and so just disappointed, not discouraged, but disappointed in the inability to get off the field and give our offense the ball back so we can go win the game. So that's just what we're supposed to do, and so that's the fresh response to that. Didn't feel like that. Just the execution to me in all 3 games. At times it's been good, but it's not been consistent enough for me and for obviously what we have to be able to have to be the defense that we want to be, and I believe that we can be. So I think that that's the focus for our guys right now, is being able to disrupt up front, tackle extremely well, and create takeaways. And we didn't get any takeaways in the last game, and that was a big issue that we needed. We needed that for our team, and I think that's a real focal point for me right now. We got 2 in the first game. We got 3 in the second game. Should have had 4 in the second game, and our goal is 3 a game, which I know is a high goal, but that's what our goal is. And we just need 1 in that one to get to be able to get off the field in those key situations and get those key stops. So. But when we think about each game, to me it was about, I thought we started strong. I do feel like in game 1, even in game 2, I want to see us play more guys. I just think it's healthy for everybody. I think it showed up a little bit in that 3rd game in those last couple drives. So I just think that's a big part of being able to have the depth that you want to finish games and then finish the season the way you want. And I've talked about that with our guys from day one. And part of that is us developing enough depth to be able to have guys guys that are ready to play in multiple positions to be able to allow that to be the case. And I'm a big believer in that. When you play a team like this coming up that's plays with a lot of tempo, gets a lot of snaps, averages, they've had over 90 snaps in a game and in the 80s for average. And so that to me is a big deal. And I think that kind of summarizes some things for me because I want to be able to be at our best in the fourth quarter. And, we had a lead in this last game, and that's, to me, that's on us. That's on the defense to finish the game. And period, point blank, talk to our guys about that. We know that, talk about it even during that situation, during the game. And once we got the lead, then that's our responsibility to make sure that they don't score, we win the game. And so that's a mindset I want us to have. I want us to take pride in that as a defense. I want us to attack that. So we've been okay at times, not good enough, in my opinion, and did not play to the standard on Saturday. And so when you don't get the results that you're looking for, you continue to look at things and evaluate and just keep finding ways to make changes that are going to allow you to have better success next time. But I think our guys have played hard, and we've tackled well most of the time, but we did miss some key tackles in this last game. And so you can say that for each of the few in the first two games as well. It's not been a massive issue, but it's been to our standard. To me, it needs to be better, and that's all, especially in the perimeter. On the perimeter and being more physical in that perimeter. To me, it's just an edge you got to have and play with. So, the overall summary is done some good things, but obviously not good enough. And we see that, we accept that as coaches, and that's our responsibility to get our guys in position to make those plays. And then when they do, they got to make them.
I like press conferences where you only have to ask one question. And you get the complete answer out of one question. I mean, that pretty much covered everything from the Clemson defense there, from the defensive coordinator. So we'll see what happens with Clemson on Saturday. How good is this Syracuse team? It's much like Missouri. Again, how good is Missouri? Their strength of schedule that they've played so far is 92nd in the country. So and Syracuse can't be much better at this point in time. Because they hadn't really played. They played Tennessee, of course, on a neutral site and got handled pretty well. Tennessee pulled away from them. But then they played a couple of Sisters of the Poor. Let's see, Syracuse strength of schedule of games played right now. Strength of schedule, they're 38th. I guess that Tennessee game
evidently so.
Propelled them to 38th. By the way, according to the ESPN rankings here, South Carolina's schedule moving forward, from this weekend moving forward, I think it's like the 7th toughest in the country moving forward. Back after the break.
On Point Weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear skies this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 66. Tomorrow, it's more of what we've had, mostly sunshine-filled skies, to go with a high temperature all the way up to 90. For the weekend, more of the same. Mostly, again, sunshine-filled skies, highs in the upper 80s. And fall starts on Monday, but it'll still feel like summer much of the week. Highs in the upper 80s. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
This fall, discover a place where friendly faces greet you at the door. McCoy's Hardware of Lexington, Greg Lynette, and their welcoming team make every visit a breeze with expert advice and genuine hometown care. No more endless aisles or big box blues, just quality products and people who want to know your name. For every project, big or small, find what you need and a neighborly smile at 2028 Augusta Highway. Shop local. Shop happy. McCoy's Hardware of Lexington.
Street today that with SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A suspected stalker armed with a rifle hid behind his ex-girlfriend's home in the rolling farmland of southern Pennsylvania and ambushed police officers who came to arrest him, killing 3 of them in a shootout. 2 other officers were seriously wounded before police shot the suspect to death. President Donald Trump is asking the Supreme Court for an emergency order to remove Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors. The Republican turned to the High Court Thursday after an appeals court refused to go along with his effort to oust Cook. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average up by 124 points. The Nasdaq rose 209. The S&P 500 advanced 31. More details at srnnews.com.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
It's time for the 50th annual Lexington Medical Center Irmo Oak Restaurant, the Golden Strut, Friday, September the 26th and Saturday, September 27th at Moore Park on Church Street in Irmo. Great music both days with concerts, wonderful food, and of course, Saturday morning at 9 a.m., there's the famous Okra Strut Parade. It starts on St. Andrews Road. The Okra Strut is free and open to everyone with the Richland County Hospitality Tax Family Fun Zone and awesome vendors. For more information, go to okrastrut.com.
Step into summer with no unwanted guest in your home.
At Modern Exterminating Company, we're not just experts in pest control, we're your neighbors.
Glenn and Melanie Matthews here. Modern Exterminating has been part of this community since 1955, offering unmatched experience with the family touch.
Trust us to keep your home pest-free with care and dedication that only a local family-owned business can provide.
Experience the Modern Exterminating difference. Call us at 765-2315 or visit pestfreesc.com.
Let us keep your home truly yours.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking,
are our family. Are you a small business with big dreams? Join the tremendous stable of advertising partners at The Point. Connect with Kevin Cohen and brainstorm a tailored strategy to escalate your business growth using the powerful platform of The Point. Call Kev directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, you can make the next year your best year.
It's the M&M Boys on Sports Talk with former Clemson offensive lineman Will Merritt and former South Carolina linebacker Corey Miller on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Not just former Clemson offensive lineman. I have failed all these years, and I apologize. I have failed all these years to recognize Will Merritt for the greatness that he was at Clemson, two-time All-ACC offensive lineman. Joining us here tonight for another edition of the M and M Boys. We're down in M, but we have made contact with Corey. He's in a meeting, and he'll be joining us here as soon as he can. It ran over. Not like getting run over by George Rogers, but it got run over, the meeting running over. But we do have Will, so we'll pick on Clemson here for a few minutes till Corey joins us. Good evening, Will. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. I guess this is one of those weeks where Corey nor myself have anything really good to say about our programs.
But you'll try. You're going to try, aren't you?
I mean, listen, I can lie if you want me to.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, no, we don't want you to lie. We don't want you to lie. But great to have you with us. Will, of course, offensive lineman for Clemson out of Wren High School back in the day, and he was a two-time All-ACC performer, so I want to make sure we get that out there. So
You don't have to keep saying it, buddy. I'm not hung up on that.
I know you're not. I know, but I've never really given you the credit that you deserve. See, I remember you at the North-South game that year, and I remember talking to you, and I think you said at the time.
Do you know that you were the very first person to ever interview me?
Yes. And I said,
the very first.
I said, who do you have offers from? I think you said Presbyterian. I mean, you were kind of getting lowballed in recruiting, and of course, Clemson came through, and I mean, you worked hard. I admire you. I think we all admire you for the fact that you built yourself up, you worked hard, and you became an all-ACC player.
Awfully kind words.
You know? I mean, you weren't just gifted like the pastor of Payne was, just a man on fire out there. You had to really work at it and make yourself into something. So, and you did a great job. You did a great job.
Well, I made up for my lack of talent by being really slow.
Yes.
So,
well, because you fooled people on the defensive line.
I mean, I had them fooled from the get-go.
And then, of course, you became a terrific radio and TV guy as well. So, very proud of what you've done. Very proud. So, now
my mom tells me that I have a wonderful face for radio. So
yeah, you do.
So I'm glad to be with you on that.
All right. Now to the bad stuff. I mean, here we go.
Yeah.
And Dabo's he's not wrong when he says they could easily be 3-0, but the reality is they're not. They're 1-2.
And here's the thing. I've had to tell people, all week long, when you lose to LSU and then you go on the road and lose to a very quality opponent, it's not the end of the world. I mean, you don't have to, burn the stadium down yet. Now, you keep losing, then it's going to be a big deal. But I mean, people lose. I mean, everybody has good players these days. So now I will tell you this, just being very candid. I think that we have underachieved drastically already this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we played good against LSU. I don't think we played good against Troy. We obviously did not play good against Georgia Tech. I don't think we've played our best football yet. And so there's a lot of room for improvement. So I mean, let's not say that there's not room for criticism. There really is. But at the same time, there's a lot of football left to play.
This is true. I mean, the season is by no means over, but I mean, you got 81,000 fans that pack that stadium and give all that money. And they give to the NIL cause, and that money is, Larry Williams, he wrote this week, the second highest paid man in the football building is Cade Klubnik, only behind Dabo Swinney. And people want more. They don't want a 59% passer. They don't want an offense where your longest reception by a receiver, a true reception where you've gone down the field, is 26 yards. When's it going to happen?
Well, I hope it's day after tomorrow. It's what I hope. And getting Antonio Williams back is going to help.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, guys, I don't think for 1 second that people should not be critical. Not on any level. I mean, you're paying these, 19, 20, 21-year-old guys the type of money that NFL guys are making.
Yeah.
So you should expect a whole lot better than what we've gotten. Now, do I think that there's a little bit of undue criticism? Sure I do. Because, I mean, people are going to make mistakes. But for the first 3 games of the season, I mean, Phil, you've seen enough football to know it just doesn't look good. I mean, the product they're putting on the field is just not up to standard.
Pastor Payne's joining us, but before I get to him, just one more with you. You are not only a former Clemson player and broadcaster and analyst. You live up there. You're all Clemson. You're Clemson through and through. When you hear Dabo Swinney say to the fan base, if y'all tired of winning, I'll just go somewhere else.
Sure.
Now, do you just take him? You don't take him. I mean, does it burn you? Does it burn anybody? Or do they just realize that's Dabo just, running his mouth?
Well, I mean, I think you got to look at it twofold. I mean, what is he saying? Is it accurate? Yes. The way he says it, it kind of rubs the people the wrong way. I mean, Dabo's one of my dearest friends in the whole world, so I take it for a grain of salt. You know, I mean, I just say, I mean, that's just him venting. And, so, you know, when you lose, everybody wants to vent. Everybody wants to say, you know, well, look at what I've done in the past. But the problem is, these days, nobody wants to look at yesteryear. They want to look at what you've done for me lately. They want to look at what you're doing right this minute. And I think that's the fan base right now. I think they're looking at, hey, man, I don't want to lose anymore. We're not used to losing. We're used to winning championships. But at the same time, I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
No question. All right, let's go from one sad story to another. Welcome in former Gamecock great, NFL standout, product of Pageland, South Carolina, Central High School. Do they just call it? They don't call it Pageland Central. They just call it Central, right? We just call it Central High School.
It's Central High School.
Central High School. We don't have to say Pageland. We say Central High School. It is the pastor of pain, because he used to bring the pain, and that is Corey Miller. All right, welcome in. Glad you're with us. And, all right, your thoughts on your team, because you got really nothing you got nothing different from what Will had to say about his team as far as the results so far.
Right, I would say ditto. You know what I mean? It is what it is. In South Carolina, you know, I don't know what's happening. I could sit here and you know, make excuses, put lipstick on the pig, so to speak, but you know I'm not going to do that. I was a little bit concerned, just the overall team, Phil. Talent right now, this football team, and I think it comes into question. I mean, it came into question when Lenore's went down with that concussion. You know, Luke came in and, you know, he struggled. The offensive line struggled. People getting open struggled. Defensively, they struggled. I can't remember the last time a Clayton White defense gave up 30-plus points. And to me, here's what really bothered me was the fact that, and this is about Alabama against Florida State, the fact that when you get out-physicaled, right, when you get dominated in the trenches, offensively or defensively, that's a problem to me. And so I saw that on Saturday.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Yeah, Vanderbilt just out-physical South Carolina. They look better. They look like they had better players. Again, Vanderbilt's a good team, but it's still Vanderbilt, right? It's still somebody that, even when South Carolina's been at their worst, they have beaten them. What, they've beaten them like last 16 times? I think I'm correct. I mean, this was like a talent level that was better than South Carolina, and that bothered me. It really did. And I know I can say, well, we didn't have our starting quarterback and blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to say that. We got dominated in the trenches, and there's nothing wrong with people saying what's going on, because it's a question mark, right? And you got the offensive line is loaded with 4 and 5 stars. You know, guys that everybody in the country wanted, teams that they beat to get these guys. When are they going to separate and become the players that we think they are? So I'm with Will on this. I know Shane kind of went off in his press conference as well. But listen, I mean, here's the bottom line. And I'm great friends, you know, and I love Shane, and I think we've got great coaches. But people, when you get paid the amount of money that you're getting paid, now players are getting paid, you got to go out and perform. You know, I'm past the amateurism now. That's gone. These are paid professionals, in my opinion, now. And if the product is not matching what you're getting paid, then people are going to start to have questions. And so you have to be able to deal with that. But the proof is in the pudding, like Will said, you know, with Dabo. I mean, hey, I know what you did years ago, but what about now? You know, I know what we did last year, and, you know, people playoff teams, this, that, and the third, but what's going on now? I mean, you had a chance, you're top 10, you got there, people are giving you crazy praise in the country, and then you lay that type of egg, not just losing on some kind of fluke play, but you lost in the fashion at home where the fan base was phenomenal, the atmosphere was phenomenal, and we got dominated and looked bad. And that, to me,
was a problem. But the good news is I know this coaching staff. I know what Shane Beamer's about. They will fix it. And I think, coming Saturday, we going to see a different type of attitude from this football team.
Well, I will say that last season they laid the egg at home against Ole Miss. Then they went and nearly beat Alabama on the road. Then they didn't lose again in the regular season. So, I mean, if history can repeat itself that way for the Gamecocks, they'll be fine, Corey. But do you have any belief from what you've heard about practice this week and things that you've picked up? You have any belief, any reason to believe that they can pick it up and go to Missouri and start a winning streak beginning this Saturday?
Well, they better. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. I'll tell you that. I mean, you got SEC after SEC coming up in the next, 7 games? I mean, so this is a game where it's going to be out. And Missouri's not thought of as one of the best teams in the conference. So I know the attitude. I know what the culture. I talked about the culture being changed. I know I've talked to these young kids. I know they have the right heart, the right makeup, the right mentality. And there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be much better on Saturday. I don't think we'll have a repeat performance of what you saw on Saturday night for whatever reason. I think they hear the noise. By Coach Beamer's response, they understand what people are saying. They dropped completely out of the top 25. So, as a player, you got to have a sense of pride in a good way of saying, hey, this is not who we are. We laid this egg for whatever reason. We got to step up. Somebody has to step up. Mm-hmm. Somebody's got to step up on the outside of receiver, Nicholas Harper, and make plays, get open, beat coverage. Somebody on that defense got to bust people in the mouth, make some tackles behind the line of scrimmage, get consistent pressure on the quarterback, and make plays. Who is that going to be? So whoever your leaders are, this is the time you rise up and you say, hey, somebody's got to step up and come make plays. And I think they got the right people to do that. But again,
can I interject? Can I interject for 1 second? I think that everything that Corey is saying right now, I could echo with Clemson. I mean, I think I could say the same thing. But the one thing I will say is Corey, sometimes adversity is the best thing that ever happens to a team.
Correct.
Sometimes, when they do get hit in the mouth and people do challenge them and people say, wait a minute, what are you doing? I think sometimes losing a game might be the catalyst to actually producing a much better football team the following week. And I think that both teams are looking to do that.
I think so, and I think you're right, because what happens is you start smelling yourself a little bit. You know what I mean? Everybody's talking about you. Everybody's saying, hey, watch out for South Carolina. They can be the surprise team. They almost got to the playoffs. Some think they should have been in the playoffs last year. Watch out. They got a guy returning in Lenore Sellers. He's a Heisman Trophy hopeful. And you start to hear all of these things from all sorts of outlets, from the pundits of the National College Football. And then you kind of start smelling yourself. You kind of start to think, well, the Block C, we would just roll that out with 75, 80,000 people screaming in the towels and sandstorm, and we're just going to win games. No. We're living in the land of parity. We're living in a land to where, Clemson's not going to just go to Georgia Tech and show up and just roll the Tiger Part and win, or go to or play Syracuse and just win. You got to compete and play, because everybody is pretty decent now. You can buy players. You can get players. And so you got to go play each and every single week. I did a video for the legacy players 2 weeks ago for South Carolina. And the one thing that I said in that video was, you have to take advantage and maximize every opportunity that you get, because in college, your days are numbered. There's only limited opportunities. 9 out of 10 of you will not play professional football. So maximize every freaking Saturday that you get. Give everything that you got and leave it on the football field. If they don't have that type of attitude and play with that type of urgency, they're going to get beat more, because everybody in this league is pretty daggum decent. And so somebody's got to step up, or you're going to be looking at a horrible football season. But I do believe they got the right makeup from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint to go out there and win games.
I feel like we just need to pass the offering plate right now. I mean, I think the Pastor of Payne just said it. I mean, let's go ahead and pray and go home.
I'm all for that.
Listen,
All right,
I'm mad about most, Will. Will, let me just say, I'm mad about this most. But Will, we can't even argue and have fun with one another. Go back and forth. We too much kumbaya. Come on, somebody separate. So we can.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that in just a second. We're going to get to that in just a second. Let me mention here what Beamer said on his call-in show tonight about his injured players. Michael Smith is out. Judge Collier is out. This is for Saturday. Sellers, Bennett, and Henry. They'll have their updated report tonight, but he says trending in the right direction for these other guys, and they're optimistic. And Sellers has been practicing. He said he was out there Sunday at practice and been practicing during the week. So certainly looks like everything's going to be okay there for him. So obviously it wasn't too bad of a deal for him, though, it looked like it was kind of serious the way he took that hit, but looks like he's going to be okay. I would expect him to be out there and playing it at full speed. And Clemson needs to get Antonio Williams. They need to get Khalil Barnes out there. We got about a minute, guys, so let's get the rivalry meter reading for tonight. Clemson is 1-2, staggering. South Carolina's 2-1 and stumbling. What you got, Will?
Well, I mean, I'm always going to pick us. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say we're going to win the ball game, but I will say, thus far the sample size that we have, I don't know that Corey or myself can either one say anything with definitive measure. But I will say that I do think that we have the coaching staff that can recover. So I know that we're running out of time, so I'll defend my Tigers always, but at the same time, I don't know what to say.
Give me 30 seconds here, Corey.
I'm gonna back down and just listen, man. I can't. I bleed garnet and black, bro. And we're at home. I mean, it's like we're betting, right? We got a +3. I got to go +3 South Carolina. And I probably don't even know the kicker's name, but whoever he is, I believe that he's going to make a field goal. And we might win this game 6-3. Because based on the offense that we're seeing from both these teams, it's not going to be a whole lot of scores. South Carolina wins 6-3.
Hey, man, I'll take 2-0. I mean, my gosh.
It might be a defensive score that wins it. Guys, we got to roll. We thank you so much, Will. Great talking to you. Corey, thanks for joining us. Great talking to you. Have a great week. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Thanks, fellas.
Bless you guys.
See you too, fellas. Thank you so much. Woo! M&M boys. M&M boys. Both of them all-conference performers. Corey and Will.
And just nothing to talk about.
And just nothing to talk about. Just give me something to talk about. You notice I'm working in a lot of musical lyrics into the show tonight? Well, I have a pretty deep musical background.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love, and you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
Life insurance isn't for you. It's for those you love the most. For a complete insurance review, call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, serving Lawrence, Clinton, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 $1 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, got to go quickly tonight with the recruiting report brought to you by Seawells. You need the best in the catering business. You need Seawells. It's as simple as that. I don't need to say a whole lot. It's as simple as that. Seawells, number one in the catering business, as voted on by me. That phone number is 803-771. That makes it a unanimous vote. 803-771-7385 online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. No buffet tomorrow. Closed for a private party. Recruiting-wise, South Carolina commitment safety Tristan Lewis of Greenwood says no more recruiting for him. He's shutting it down. Former Gaffney quarterback Javon Gilmore decommitted from Arkansas. He'd been committed to the Razorbacks for more than a year. He left Gaffney earlier this week. According to his coach, he has since, according to Lou Bajak, enrolled at Ridgeview, or is expected to. Clemson offered 26 long snapper Jackson Reach of Manhattan Beach, California, regarded as the number one long snapper in Cali and number two in the country by Rubio Long Snapping. 27 receiver Jaden Kelly Murray of Somerville, offered by Penn State. 27 defensive tackle Seth Tillman, South Point, offered by Tennessee. 27 defensive end Jaden Worth of Dutch Fork, offered by Vanderbilt. He was at Georgia Tech last Saturday. 27 linebacker Cooper Witten of Texas plans to visit Clemson Saturday. That is the son of Jason Witten. 28 running back Michael Martin of Christ Church. 28 offensive center Brody Lorenzo of Dutch Fork. 28 receiver Jay Eady of Irmo. 28 offensive guard Thatcher Trotter of Griffin, Georgia. They all plan to be at Clemson on Saturday. And basketball, 27 6'5" Marcus Curry of Loganville, Georgia plans to be at Clemson Saturday. Anderson native 6'5" Kamaje Jenkins, who attends Moravian Prep in Hickory, North Carolina, is reclassifying for 28. South Carolina and Clemson are among his offers. I'm trying to go fast. Go, Bergie.
Yeah, the NCAA has come out and pushed back on the Wofford report. According to their PR arm, the NCAA has not suspended student athletes at Wofford, nor did they take any action against the athletic department or their personnel.
Wow.
So there you go.
They're saying, don't look at us. Go look at the reporter. Have a great night. See you tomorrow from Mizzou.